Hi, thank you for clicking on the video, and I hope everyone is doing really well. So about a year ago, I filmed a video creating my own fear food chart. It divided my fear foods into 3 categories: slightly scary, medium scary, and very scary. Over the course of the past year, I have made it an attempt to use that chart to conquer as many of those fear foods, regardless of which category they fell into. And I'm happy to say that I've faced many of those foods, conquered some, still working on many. Today I'm creating another list because through my attempts to face my fear foods, I've asked myself, why are these particular foods fear foods? Some could be because of the calorie quantity, the fat content, whether it's processed or not. Then there's another category of why some of the foods are my fear foods, and it's because not only are they fear foods, they're binge foods. They're foods that in the past, and unfortunately the present sometimes as well, I overdo it. I just can't stop myself, or I think I can't stop myself. They're the ones that make me feel out of control. I'm actually afraid of that feeling of overwhelming, out of control. Several of these fear foods are fear foods because they're the foods I used to binge and purge on. I'm afraid that by eating them, I'm signaling my body saying, hey, we're gonna throw up. I'm only gonna throw up if I make myself throw up. There have been times where just by eating a couple bites of those foods, I get this sense of desperation and need to vomit, or I suddenly have this urge that I need to get rid of the food I just consumed. And I think it's because out of habit, I created a pattern around these foods. So today I am going to be creating a binge foods list. It's just this. I'm just gonna write down foods that fall under the category of binging. These are the foods that I can easily lose control, binge, overeat. That doesn't make me feel very good. In order to give a little bit more substance to this video, I also found a list of signs of disordered eating, behaviors, and habits. I'm going to read them as a challenge to myself to see how many of these can be applied to myself. And as I'm reading them, maybe ask yourself if any of these apply to you. And if they do, and you feel like, hey, this might be the sign I need to seek help, definitely seek professional help. This goes way beyond physical health. This is a mental health situation, so definitely seek out the proper care you require. So I'm going to do that first, and then we'll get to the list. Maybe consider creating your own fear food list like I did in my other video, or if you struggle with binge eating, maybe start really asking yourself, what foods do I struggle with, and create your own binge food list so that maybe when you are craving those foods or you're presented with those foods, you can remember that these are foods that you do struggle with, and this is your challenge to be very conscious as you are eating so that you can stop yourself when you are full and satisfied off of those foods, rather than eating it all and then feeling some sort of guilt, shame, or just disappointment afterwards. Which disappointment is the number one thing I feel after a binge, and I hate feeling that way. So number 1, constantly trying different diets to lose weight. I don't try different diets. I don't try different fad diets. I used to. Instead, I definitely do I'm gonna eat better tomorrow. I'm gonna eat less tomorrow. I'm gonna basically restrict tomorrow, which is disordered in and of itself. Obsessing over food and weight. Yup. Fasting, skipping meals, or eating very little. That usually happens after a binge, and then that leads to what? Another binge. Exercising too much or too often. I used to fall into that category. Having this past year of not going to the gym has really taught me that I can survive without it. And so now that I'm going back, I'm taking a much healthier approach to exercise. And if I wake up and I'm too tired, I'm going to let myself sleep. And I've done that several times. And at first it was very difficult, and I did shame myself. I was very negative to myself for several days because I missed the gym. I missed going to the gym like twice, and it was like the end of the world. But then I was like, no, you needed your rest and you're much healthier for it. Trying to compensate for food you have eaten by vomiting, taking laxative, or other medications to affect your weight or shape. It was about a month ago that I threw out all of my toothbrushes, not the ones I used to brush my teeth, but the ones I used to... The last time I took laxatives was back in 2015, and I'm not gonna lie, there have been some times recently where I have had this really strong pull to go to the store and buy them and take them. Very happy that I haven't, but that pull, that desire to do that scares me, that I can still have that want to do that. So that kind of behavior, that kind of compensation after a binge behavior is something that I am recently countering, facing, and really trying not to engage in. Eating large amounts of food after dinner or in the middle of the night, yes and yes. Eating to comfort yourself even when not hungry, yes. Feeling out of control when eating, yes. Feeling guilt about eating. It's not guilt that I feel, like I mentioned, it's disappointment after the fact. A day or two ago, I really made myself think about what is the emotional trigger that seems to always be the common denominator when a binge occurs. It's stress related, but it's related to the feeling of rejection. You can relate overeating to stress and anxiety, but there's more. Stress and anxiety, I feel like there are like sub emotions underneath that. Like you need to dive deeper into the stress and the anxiety and what exactly are you feeling? What are the underlying emotions that are causing that stress, causing that anxiety, and causing you to do this behavior that is so not pleasant and so unhealthy for your physical and mental state? Let's just jump right into making this list. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you do not enjoy it, you can give it a thumbs down. That is cool too. I don't mind. If you are not subscribed already, please consider subscribing and be sure to hit the notification bell to stay notified of all future uploads. If you have any comments, questions, video suggestions, anything at all, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Be sure to go follow me over on Instagram, and I will see you next time.